This show is produced by the Harwood Podcast Network.
Hi, I'm Cindy Harris, and we love making this show available to you free of charge. If you'd like to help us keep it that way, please make a contribution to our Karma Jar. For more information, visit our website. Today I'm making gingerbread whoopie pies. A couple of weeks ago, one of our Facebook friends, Jessica, put a post up on our wall asking if I could make some for the holidays, and I thought it was a fantastic idea. I've done a chocolate whoopie pie and a pumpkin one and even an oatmeal one, but never gingerbread, and I think orange goes great with gingerbread, so I added this delicious orange filling to go inside of these. Well, if you'd like to follow along while I bake these, grab your smartphone and scan the QR code here on the screen, and the recipe will pop right up for you. We're going to start by getting our dry ingredients together. So I have a large bowl out, and I'm going to get out my flour and measure out 3 3/4 cups of flour. And to that, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of ginger, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, a teaspoon of cloves, a teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And with my small whisk, I'm going to whisk this together really well. It's important, since we have so many spices in with this flour, that we get them mixed all throughout. I'll set this aside, and out of the refrigerator I've taken out 3/4 cup of butter. I'm going to take and cut that into some cubes and put this into my mixing bowl. Then I've got my brown sugar out. I want to measure out 3/4 cup. Don't forget that when you measure brown sugar, you do need to lightly pack it into your cup. And then I'll put this in with the butter. I'm going to start this creaming on a low speed, and then after about 30 seconds I'll bump it up to a medium speed and let it mix for 2 minutes. Now once the butter is nice and fluffy, I'm going to turn the machine off and get my wet ingredients together. Now in my adjustable cup here, I've measured out 3/4 cup of molasses, and I love using this adjustable cup because molasses is so sticky, it's really easy to get out of the cup. And then I'm going to measure out 3/4 cup of buttermilk. Now if you can find buttermilk at your store, don't forget to shake it up before you measure it out, because it's many times some of the solids have sort of settled at the bottom and we want it all mixed together. Now if you can't find buttermilk, don't forget you can easily make your own. All you have to do is get a 1-cup measuring cup like this, but first put in a tablespoon of either white vinegar or lemon juice, and then fill it up the rest of the way to 1 cup with just regular milk. You'll want to let that sit for 5 minutes, then give it a stir, and then you'll use however much of the milk you need in your recipe. For this recipe, it's just 3/4 cup. Now we're going to put everything in our mixing bowl. We're going to be doing the dry, wet method. And the reason we do that is because if we put all the dry ingredients in and try to mix it up, it won't mix well together. And if we put all the wet ingredients in, it's not going to mix well together. And the real thing is that we want this to be a nice tender whoopie pie. If we beat it too much, it's going to start getting tough because those gluten bonds are going to start forming, which we don't want. So I'm going to put the mixer on a slow speed, and I'm going to put in about half of my flour mixture. Then while the mixer's going, I'll add my molasses. And here's where that adjustable cup comes in so handy. Now I'll put the rest of my flour in, and then the buttermilk. And then I'll bump the speed up to medium, and then once that I see everything is mixed together, I'm going to stop. Now it's real important that we take a moment and just do a final mix down. There's always just a little bit of flour on the side, and we want to make sure that everything is really mixed well. Now off to the side I have my baking sheet with a piece of parchment, and I'm going to be using my smallest cookie scoop today. It holds about 1 tablespoon of batter. Now as I place the whoopie pies on the baking sheet, we have to remember that we need an even amount because we need a top and a bottom. So these will spread a little bit, so I only put 8 on a sheet. Now I've preheated the oven to 350 degrees, and these are going to bake for 10 minutes. Now they should be nice and brown like this. You should start to see some cracks in the top like that. That means they're cooked through. We'll remove it from the baking sheet and let them cool on a rack. Now while the whoopie pies are cooling, we're going to make the filling. So in my mixer, I'm going to put a half a cup of butter that I've taken out of the refrigerator, and I've cut it up into some cubes. And then I have 4 ounces of cream cheese. This is a Philadelphia cream cheese. It's the full fat kind. And I'm going to put this on a medium speed until that all comes together. After a minute or so, I'm going to scrape down the bowl. It's really important that we get that cream cheese and butter totally put together. And then after about another 30 seconds, I'm going to stop the mixer, and I have 3/4 of a cup of marshmallow fluff, and I'm going to add that. Now, if you can't get marshmallow fluff where you live, you could leave it out, but it gives a really unique flavor that I like to this filling. So then I'll put this on again for about 30 seconds until it comes together. Now for the flavoring, I'll add a half a teaspoon of vanilla, along with the zest of 1 orange. I personally think that gingerbread and orange are fantastic together, so that's why I like to put this into my filling. And then I'll add the zest. Let that cream for another 30 seconds or so. And now it's time to put in our powdered sugar. Now I find that when I use my whisk attachment, I don't need to sift the powdered sugar because it comes out nice and smooth. But if you find your powdered sugar is really, really lumpy, you may want to sift it. But I'm putting in 1 1/4 cups of the powdered sugar. I'll put this on a low speed first because with all that powdered sugar, it will fly around if we go too fast. And then again, after about 30 seconds, you can see that it's coming together, but a lot of the powdered sugar is at the side of the bowl, so we'll scrape that down. And then I'm going to let this mix on medium and then high speed for about a minute until it gets nice and fluffy. And again, just give it one last stir to make sure that everything has mixed together on the sides. Then I like to transfer it into a bowl. I find it's a little easier to spread on the whoopie pies. I don't have to dip into this deep bowl. Now I want to show you the texture of my filling. You can see it pretty much holds its own, but if it's very warm in your kitchen on the day you're making this, or if you happen to have a cream cheese that has a lot of water content in it, this may be very runny. And if it is, pop it in the refrigerator for maybe 15 or 20 minutes, and it will stiffen up and then be ready to put in our whoopie pies. So now you can see I have all kinds of whoopie pies here. I'm going to take just about a teaspoon or so of filling, put it right in the center, and then I'll take a second whoopie pie and press it down just a little bit. But you see how I get that nice band of filling? That's what I want it to look like. And then I'll set it here and fill the rest of them. Now you may also end up with a little bit of extra filling. It depends how many people in the kitchen want to have a taste of it. But this is also something you could put in a little container in the refrigerator for a couple of weeks. It's great like on a graham cracker or a thin biscuit. Now with this recipe, you'll end up getting at least 30 whoopie pies this size, which I think this is a wonderful size for a treat. And you will want to put them in the refrigerator though, because of that cream cheese in the filling. That needs to be refrigerated. So what I'm going to do now is put these on a plate and cover them with plastic wrap and pop them in the refrigerator. And they can stay there for a couple of days for sure. Now I wouldn't worry about the cake getting dry because we have that nice filling in the middle. That won't be a problem. But if they are going to be in the refrigerator for more than a couple of days, what I'd suggest you do is actually put them in the freezer. And what I would do is take and put these all on a rimmed baking sheet just like this and pop them in the freezer overnight, and each one will get nice and hard, and then you can just put them into a zip bag, and whenever you want a little whoopie pie, you can just take it out of the freezer in about 15 or 20 minutes. It'll be nice and defrosted. Well, if you'd like to make some of these delicious gingerbread whoopie pies, just go to our website and go to the cookie jar show notes, and I'll have the recipe there for you. If you do make them, don't forget to send me a photo so I can send you the whoopie pie badge. I hope you'll join us on Facebook, and as always, if you have any ideas or questions for me, please send me an email. I'll see you next time.